Normies, welcome to the game. I keep seeing people online suddenly discovering politics. No history, no nuance, no memory, just outrage. They talk about how bad Finns have gotten, like the world broke the moment they noticed it. But Finns didn't start getting bad when you arrived. They were already bad while you were laughing at the people talking about it. You ignored the laws changing. You ignored the policies shaping the future. You ignored the wars, the poverty, the cost of living, not because you didn't see them, but because they didn't emotionally inconvenience you yet. And when someone tried to talk about it, you mocked them, called them paranoid, dramatic, obsessed. Now the consequences are visible. Now it affects you. Now suddenly it's a crisis. That's not awareness, that's selective outrage. You don't care about causes, you care about symptoms. You don't ask what led here, you just want it fixed. And the moment the immediate danger fades, you'll disappear again. Back to individualism, back to distraction, back to pretending none of it exists. Until the next shock wakes you up. And when it does, you'll act like it all started yesterday. Again, not the tutorial, not the menu screen, not the highlight reel you saw on TikTok. The actual game. Because I keep seeing people arrive late, angry, confused, and convinced the match just started. Suddenly, everyone's political. Suddenly, everyone has opinions. Suddenly, everyone knows who ruined everything. And somehow, it's never themselves. They talk about how bad things have gotten, how broken everything is, how corrupt, unfair, rigged, dangerous, and unstable the world feels. And I always wonder, where were you when it was being built like this? Where were you when the laws changed quietly? When the policies slid through while nobody was watching? When the costs climbed and the wages didn't? When the systems rewrote themselves in boardrooms instead of ballots? You were busy. Busy scrolling, busy laughing, busy calling people dramatic, busy saying, it doesn't affect me. You didn't oppose it. You didn't defend it. You didn't even understand it. You just ignored it. And now you are shocked. You are shocked that the house is on fire when you slept through the smoke alarm. That's not awareness. That's selective outrage. You didn't arrive because you care about truth. You arrived because the consequences finally reached your front door. And that's the pattern. Humans don't wake up when something is wrong. They wake up when something is uncomfortable. You didn't care when it was theoretical. You cared when it became personal. And now you want answers. Fast answers, simple answers, comfortable answers. You want villains, you want heroes, you want slogans. You want something you can share, like, and forget. You don't want complexity, because complexity doesn't give dopamine. Outrage does. So you join the noise. You repeat what feels right. You adopt the tone of whichever tribe you landed in. Not because it's true, but because it feels safe. And safety is the currency now. You don't ask what led here. You ask, who do I blame? You don't ask what systems failed. You ask, what should I hate? Who should I hate? You don't ask, how did we allow this? You ask, who should fix it for me? And when someone says, this didn't start yesterday, you roll your eyes. Because memory is inconvenient. History ruins outrage. Context ruins certainty. And certainty is the drug you want to feel right, not responsible. That's why every crisis feels new. That's why every collapse feels sudden. That's why every mistake feels like it came out of nowhere. because you weren't paying attention when it was forming. You only notice storms when the rain hits you. And here's the uncomfortable part. You didn't just ignore the warning signs. You mocked them. You called people paranoid, obsessed, bitter, negative, extreme. You told them to touch grass. You told them to stop overthinking. You told them to stop being dramatic. And now you are repeating their arguments like they were always obvious. That's not growth. That's theft. You didn't change. You just arrived. And you arrived with entitlement. Because you don't want to build solutions. You want refunds. You want stability without sacrifice. Order without discipline. Justice without responsibility. You want the game patched without learning how it works. You want peace without memory. You want insults without reflection. And the worst part, you think your arrival makes you important. You think the moment you notice the problem is when it officially becomes real. Like history was buffering until your consciousness loaded. But the world doesn't wait for your awareness. It moves whether you watch it or not. And while you were asleep, choices were made. While you were distracted, structures were set. While you were entertained, futures were decided. Not by villains in cloaks, but by systems that survive on apathy. Because apathy is the most powerful political force on earth. Not evil, not hatred, not even corruption. Apathy. The quiet decision to not care until you are forced to. And now you are forced to. So you scream. You flood timelines. You demand action. But you don't demand understanding. And without understanding, every solution you support becomes another future problem someone else will wake up to. That's the cycle. Outrage. Temporary pressure. Cosmetic change. Return to comfort. Then repeat. You don't stay when the conversation gets boring. You don't stay when it gets technical. You don't stay when it stops feeling emotional. You leave when it requires effort. Because you didn't come to participate. You came to feel. And feeling has replaced thinking. Now everything is identity. Every issue becomes a personality. Every position becomes a tribe. Every disagreement becomes betrayal. You don't defend ideas. You defend belonging. And belonging doesn't care about truth. It cares about loyalty. That's why nuance feels like treason now. Because nuance doesn't protect groups. It threatens them. And you don't want truth. You want confirmation. You want anger validated. You want your fear justified. You want your side declared righteous. And you want it quickly. You want reality simplified into content. But reality doesn't simplify. It rots when ignored. And when it finally collapses, everyone acts surprised. You call it sudden. You call it shocking. You call it unbelievable. But it wasn't sudden. It was patient. It waited for you to care. And now that you do, you still don't want responsibility. You want someone else to fix it. You want leaders to save you. You want movements to carry you. You want trends to guide you. You don't want to change habits. You don't want to question comfort. You don't want to admit you benefited from what you now condemn. Because admitting that would mean you are not innocent. And innocence is sacred now. Everyone wants to be a victim. Nobody wants to be a participant. But participation doesn't end when you stop paying attention. Silence is a vote. Distraction is a choice. Comfort is a position. You didn't stand outside the system. You lived inside it. You enjoyed it. You defended it when it served you. And now that it doesn't, you call it broken. Not because it changed, but because you did. And that's the part nobody wants to admit. The system didn't betray you. It simply stopped rewarding you. So now you are awake. Welcome. But don't confuse waking up with understanding. Don't confuse anger with insight. Don't confuse posting with participation. And don't confuse arrival with authority. Because you didn't enter the game to fix it. You entered it because consequences finally reached you. And if history has taught us anything, it's this. Most people don't change the world. They react to it. They complain about it. They moralize it. They meme it. Then they forget it. Until it hurts again. And then they return louder, angrier, and just as unprepared. So yes, normies, welcome to the game. But understand something before you speak like you own it. Some of us never logged out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.